Thank you, Ajay for organizing this uh, very wonderful event. And these 2 days in Berlin have been wonderful. Despite Pallavi's illness, we have tried to interact as much as possible. You are a victim of Kashmiri Hindu genocide. I hope the last generation of victims of Kashmiri Hindus, because in next few minutes I am going to share with you why he's perhaps the last generation of victims. Thank you, Niku, for wonderful insights into the Holocaust. I I have all my empathy, all my sincere apology on behalf of the entire humanity for what has been done to you and your family and the entire Jew community. And I want to also thank you for representing the Jew community wherever we have gone, in USA, in England, here, everywhere. I have found that the Jew community has naturally supported the cause unconditionally. This word unconditionally is very important. And I want to begin from there because a lot of people talk about empathy, standing up, speaking up, supporting you, but they always add a but or if. If you do this for me, then I'll stand up for you. Like in America, politicians speak up for you only if you give them something in return. But as far as Jews are concerned, they never, not even once, questioned, doubted. They just stood up and they said, even the pain of one person, even the killing of one person is inhuman, and we want to stand up with you. The other day in Scotland, on a Queen's Jubilee holiday, where everything was shut, the director of Jewish synagogue, which is the oldest synagogue in Scotland, and the Holocaust Museum, he invited us on a holiday and spent 2 hours taking us around everywhere. That video is on internet. I'll send it to you. It's very touching. So very quickly, I want to talk about the ignored, I won't say ignored, but a genocide to which the world remained indifferent, an unknown genocide. And this is, I feel ashamed to say this, but it is important that I have to say this, that this is the longest continuous genocide of human beings. I don't even want to get into Hindu or Muslim or Jew or Christian. He has very beautifully explained that you are labeled with just one identity, that is your religion, everything else doesn't matter. Kashmir has been a land, like I always say, a land of education. People, for the highest possible degree, for very deep, intense research, used to go to Kashmir. People from Greece, from China, from Middle East, from Africa, from all the places have traveled, they have come there. A lot of disciplines actually originated in Kashmir. Grammar, if you don't know the grammar we talk. Sahitya, the word literature, the word Sahitya was coined over there. Philosophy, humanity, spirituality, life sciences, Ayurveda. A lot of beautiful music, art, literature. Saraswati is a goddess of Kashmir. Some of the greatest things which help us evolve as better human beings, music, art, literature, all these things, a lot of those things they started over there, they evolved over there. It doesn't matter who invented or discovered them, but it was a seat, it was a principal apex seat of learning these things in Kashmir. This is Kashmir. It is believed that Kashmir is almost 4,000 to 5,000 year old region. There is a absolute consensus on this. Now in 1300, which is 1300 years after Jesus Christ, some tyrants from the region which is called Iraq now, they came, invaded Kashmir. I won't say they looted them and went back. They did not do that. They stayed back. Because even in those times, people knew that anybody who controls knowledge, controls money, controls commerce, controls business. Now, one of the invaders, one of the first invaders, Iraqi, in his biography, is being observed by his own son, his own prime ministers. It is written, I'm paraphrasing it because the quote is not in front of me. It said that we would stop these Kashmiri Pandits. We'll ask them to convert into Islam. And if they refused, we killed them. If they survived, we trampled them with our feet. This is year 1300. They were trampled with their feet. First of all, the dignity of Kashmiri Hindus was brought down to this level. How it was made possible? I'll tell you how it was made possible. When they came with army, with horses, with swords, they issued commandments. And those commandments were that Hindus in Kashmir cannot lock their houses. The Muslims, the invaders would lock their houses, but Hindus were not allowed to lock their houses. They were not allowed to keep any kind of arm, sword, knife, anything. They were not allowed to ride horses. So there is a list of these commandments. First, you disarm them, make them weak, and not only that, if you have seen, people who don't know, if you have seen Holocaust movies, you must have seen outside the houses of Jews, they put a symbol and on the arms also, here also, on the chest, yeah. So that they can be identified and therefore othered from a distance. Exactly the same thing happened in Kashmir. Exactly the same thing. Kashmiri Hindus, everybody wear farran. Farran is a long robe. But Kashmiri Hindus had a small pleat or border, I don't know what it is called, at the 3/4 level. So that you can be identified from a distance. Even you didn't know that. See, she's a Kashmiri Pandit and she had no idea. Because these things happen, and I was seeing a beautiful film of 60s on Holocaust. And even when we went to Auschwitz, we were told the same thing. So it corroborates between the film and what the guide told us at Auschwitz. And then I read some literature on Auschwitz that also says the same thing, so must be true. There are a lot of Jews who came in trains. They were promised a better land. They thought they were coming to a better place. And therefore they left everything behind and they came very happy. And they brought their best jewelry. They were told, you are going to a wonderful place, you will get wonderful jobs and everything. And they came with best of the jewelry, best of the shoes, best of the purses. And therefore when you go to Auschwitz, have you been to Auschwitz? Yeah. So there are exhibits, I mean huge exhibits, which are just full of beautiful shoes, wonderful shoes, beautiful purses, jewelry, hair clips, nail cutters, those kind of things, which you will carry only if you are going to a wonderful place. If they thought this is the end of their life, or if they were sad, they won't carry these things. So when these things happen, they happen so slowly and so subliminally that you don't even realize that. So similarly, the Kashmiri Hindus were identified by their clothes, they were othered, and then their first exodus took place. All Kashmiri Hindus had to leave their motherland. But then 6 or 7 families, I don't know how many families in the first time or something, they came back. They were determined to come back and assert their own motherland. 6 times, historically recorded without dispute, 6 times, there were 6 exodus of Kashmiri Hindus. 6 times, suppose you are thrown out of your house. That's why when people say, where are Kashmiris? They are scattered. Not in last 32 years. A lot of people ask us that why this film after 32 years? No, this film is not after 32 years. This film is almost 750 years later. For the story has come out so late. But it kept happening in a small region called Kashmir. And since it was Himalayas and big mountains, so it was isolated, the world did not even take much notice of it. But then, since partition, a fake conflict and problem was created in an independent India about the title holding of the region. Who does this region belong to? I, as a layman, with very little bit of understanding of law, with common sense I understand, if you go to any court in the world about dispute of a land, the first thing any court would say, who is the original title holder? In this case, the original title holders were Kashmiri Hindus. There is no dispute. There can be a dispute created by some incompetent politician of that time, but this cannot be a disputed land for the people who have been living there since last 5,000 years. And then after partition, with the help of Pakistan, a systematic erosion of Kashmiri cultural footprint was eroded. It was systematically done. And I'll tell you how it was done systematically. Exactly like this, because it was their land, they lived there for so many generations, so they had huge lands. Then the government of that time, which was primarily run by Islamists, aided by Pakistan's ISI, and they said these are inferior people. If they do not convert into Islam, then they deserve to die or run away from there. And they coined a slogan called Ralev Galev Shalev. But much before that, they took a new land bill came and they took most of the land from Kashmiri Hindus. First they disarm you, they other you, they take your land, make you economically poor, and after that, all these political lobbies, Islamist political lobbies, started giving shelter to hardcore terrorists trained by USA and Russia in Afghanistan war. Then they employed their services. They were paid, and some did in the name of religion. Jihad, what is called the religious war. And then slowly by 1990, because the maximum exodus took place in 1990, but it started in 1945-47, and it kept on going on and going on and going on, and even till date. See, 1990 we say, but after 1990, in 2003, I've shown in my film, Nandigram happened, कहाँ ये वंदे मातरम सिखों का कहाँ हुआ? सिखों का नहीं, सिखों का संग्रामपुर में हुआ था. 36 Chatti Singhpura, I'm sorry. In Chatti Singhpura, not only Hindus, 36 Sikhs, they were killed in a row. And it kept happening all the times. Even till couple of weeks back, when the bank manager was identified as a Hindu and he was killed. A teacher, lady teacher was killed. Almost every 10th or 15th day, somebody is being identified and is being killed. There are hardly any Hindus left now. There was one person who has been running the oldest dhaba. Dhaba is a small roadside restaurant, like a motel or but food joint basically. One of the oldest. And I can guarantee so many young kids must have eaten over there. So many, even terrorists must have come and eaten over there. A wonderful person. He was shot only because he was a Hindu. And there is nobody in this world, not even one person. The mightiest people in the world, right from President of America to the Prime Minister of India, not even one person in this world can say that the genocide of Hindus in Kashmir has ended for good. Nobody. While all the genocides happened in a particular time, and after that, it came to the world's notice, they were recognized as genocides. Human rights organizations came into force, and then they ended. All the genocides had an expiry date, but unfortunately, Kashmiri Hindu genocide has no expiry date. It's going on and on and on. Why is it going on and on and on? For the simple reason, because then these people were thrown out of their houses, from their homes. They scattered. And that is the biggest advantage of the enemy, of the devil. That Kashmiri Hindus do not live in one geographical region, and therefore they don't have a collective voice. They are not vote banks anywhere. Today in Berlin, if you want to influence policymakers or legislators, you have to have a certain number to influence that. It's a very unique situation. And another big problem, which is your biggest strength, is that Kashmiri Hindus are so educated and now so successful and so busy that nobody has time to go into full-time activism. Therefore, the problem of recognizing it as a genocide never came up. This is the first time in history that due to a film, so much awareness has been created. Due to a film, so much awakening of conscience and realizing the human pain that people have started talking about it. And this I see it as a great hope, great opportunity. And for the first time, it is not just a limited community which is talking about it. Now people all over India are talking about it. People of different ethnicities, nationalities, of faiths. He has come, he's a Jew. Just now Amjad Bhai was talking. He is a Muslim. Arif Bhai came in London. He is a Muslim. So many blacks and Hispanics and Asians, Koreans, British people. The other day we were invited in UK Parliament, and there were so many members of parliaments on record, on video. They have come and they have recognized it as a genocide, if not legally or politically, but at least in public forum they have recognized as a genocide, which is a good beginning. Second very good thing which has happened is that there is a lot of conversation around it. Some happy conversations, some unhappy conversations, some blaming, some accusing. But just to remind you, I don't get discouraged by them. When people say it's propaganda, where is the other side of the story? Why are you only telling your story? So let me just tell you, I'm sure you know about it, that until around late 70s, the world didn't know much about Holocaust. People knew about the area which was affected by World War, but in far Asia, in India, nobody knew about Holocaust. In America, nobody knew, the younger generation didn't know about Holocaust. Then came a documentary called Holocaust in late 70s. When that documentary came, There was a big debate whether it should be shown in Germany or not. But by that time, Germany was a strong, determined, liberal nation. It allowed the film. You'll be surprised to know that people came out on streets to protest against that film. There were so many heated debates, hate speeches. Exactly same, word by word, the people said the same thing. This is propaganda. This is American propaganda. This is brainwashing our people. This is putting poison in minds of our people. This never happened. Where is the other side of the story? Why are you telling only their story? But at that time, a lot of people must have felt discouraged, but it was a good thing it happened. There was so much of discussion around it that today, in any part of the world, wherever you go, people talk about Holocaust and learn from it. They get inspired never to make that mistake again. In fact, all genocides, very loosely, people have started calling them Holocaust. This is the power of art. So this conversation which is going on, a lot of Kashmiri Pandits come to me and they say, why are they saying that? Why are they saying that? I'm saying it's a good thing. Let everybody talk. Let there be so much of talk and discussion and arguments that it becomes so top of mind that even one bullet, the entire humanity gets up to resist it. So if this longest continuous genocide of human beings has to stop, believe you me, no government is going to stop it. No political or religious leader is going to stop it. The only power which can stop it is you and I. We. If we take a stand against any kind of violence in any part of the world, irrespective of region, religion, caste, creed, faith, whatever. If we say no to violence, then only this genocide can end. And without, I always say, and let me repeat it again, until this longest continuous genocide in Kashmir ends, there will be no world peace. World peace, if it has to come, it will come only from one principle, and that is the principle of oneness. And this principle of oneness was understood in Kashmir, what we call in Shaivism. So these are my thoughts. Thank you very much.